On June 8th of 2017, Lindley Renick says she finds her husband dead in a pool of blood on the floor of the snake facility where he runs his world-renowned snake breeding business. She quickly calls Sam, Ben's brother, and then calls 911.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Husband's on the ground and there's blood everywhere.
Okay. What happened? Tell me exactly what happened to him.
Oh, God. I went down home with my kids there in the car, and I went to go check on him, and I saw him on the ground.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, we've got everybody on the way. Do you know what happened?
No. It had been a snake. Literally, I don't know where the snake is. Oh, my God.
Okay, tell me exactly what you see. What's going on there?
Oh, my God. My brother's dead.
Police quickly arrive at the scene, armed and ready to try to find the snake or whatever else had killed Ben Renick.
I know it's difficult right now, but we need to make sure nobody else gets hurt.
Ben was very, very good at what he did. We never thought that something like this with a snake could have ever happened to Ben.
Make sure there's no snakes around the victim.
Yeah.
But a discovery from the coroner changes everything.
I crouched down to take a closer look, and when I did this, I then saw some divots in the floor. I also saw some injury to the face that I would say was more consistent with not a snake injury, but a gunshot wound. And then I saw a shell casing on a shelf just above the decedent's head. And that's when I informed law enforcement that I believe there were some other circumstances that at play.
He was shot several times. We were there to work and saw the homicide.
We thought at first, maybe someone was there to rob him. He had very valuable stinks in his property, that perhaps that would have been a motive.
Eager for answers, law enforcement questioned Ben Renick's brother, Sam, and his wife, Lindley, that evening.
What we'd like to do is, if you're willing, is to do a gunshot residue swabs on your hands, if you're okay with that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go get some gloves and we'll get started on that. Be right back.
The typical normal practice for us, and the reason we did it in that case is because they were both present. They were the ones with Ben's body when we arrived. Both gunshot residue kits came back negative for gunshot residue.
In 2012, Ben Renick and Lindley welcomed their daughter, and a few years later, they married. Not only was their family growing, but Renick's reptiles were growing too, thanks to Lindley.
Lindley had a background in massage therapy, and she quit that and helped Ben full-time with the snake facility. And they did that together for years before she decided to open her own business.
In 2016, she opened Essentia Spa, and she was really happy about that. She had achieved something that she had set her mind to.
A successful marriage and two booming businesses, the Renick's future seemed bright.
They were always very close. Ben didn't necessarily talk to me about their relationship in detail. However, they seemed very happy all the way up until the end.
At some point, did you guys decide to do weekly date nights?
We decided that it would just be good for us to have a time to kind of step away, just have the time to ourselves, to each other, and kind of check out from everything else.
And that's exactly what was planned for the evening of June 8th, 2017. Benjamin Renick was supposed to pick up their children from school. The babysitter was supposed to come to their house, and when Lindley Renick got home from work, she and her husband would go out for date night, which, as we now know, never happened. After a few weeks of investigating the murder of Ben Renick, police unearthed several text messages on Lindley Renick's phone revealing that she was having multiple affairs, including one with a man named Brandon Blackwell. They also interviewed Lindley's spa manager, Ashley Shaw, who confirms the extramarital affairs.
Her relationship with Ben, can you tell me about that?
It was always kind of up and down. She didn't want to be with him, or she was cheating on him.
How did you know that that's what she was doing?
She would kind of hint around it. When she started talking to Brandon, who she's with now, she told us about him.
Brandon Blackwell and Lindley had a child together about a year and a half after Ben's death, and eventually their relationship became strained.
Your relationship with Brandon didn't get better after the birth of your son, did it?
No.
It continued to deteriorate?
Yes.
By mid-2019, their relationship comes to a tumultuous end, and Renick requests an order of protection against Blackwell, which he repeatedly violates. By the start of 2020, Brandon Blackwell is arrested and charged with multiple counts of violating an order of protection, as well as first-degree stalking. On January 14th, Blackwell speaks with the state and implicates Lindley Renick in her husband's murder. His case never goes to trial.
Prosecutor's office said that if you can give us actual valuable information, they'd be willing to work with you, because obviously a homicide's a little more important than violation of an ex parte.
My information is out of the horse's mouth.
And by the horse, you mean Lindley?
When he passed away, that was not the first attempt on his life. Her and a friend first from work started hatching this little plan. He was given a protein drink one night that was laced full of enormous amounts of narcotics, and he was sick as and somehow lived through it. But the plan was for that to be the last day of his life.
Who's the friend?
Ashley.
Ashley, is it Shaw? Yeah.
According to Brandon Blackwell, Lindley Renick tried to poison her husband prior to his actual murder. But Blackwell doesn't stop there. In addition to naming Shaw, Lindley's spa manager, he also names another co-conspirator, Michael Humphrey, a former boyfriend of Lindley Renick's.
How did she get Michael to get on board with this?
She just knew, based on his past and other things, that it's probably not too far from stuff he's been involved in before.
Michael Humphrey was an ex-boyfriend of Lindley Renick. He was kind of in and out of jail.
It was huge, and the case wrapped up within a couple days after that.
Ashley Shaw tells investigators that Lindley Renick had convinced her that Ben was abusive. Claiming she was aiding her desperate friend in leaving a toxic relationship, Shaw admits to the prior poisoning attempt. She also admits to helping Lindley find and contact Michael Humphrey, and later to helping Lindley cover up the killing. The state offers her full immunity. On January 17th of 2020, almost 3 years after Ben Renick's murder, Lindley Renick and Michael Humphrey are arrested. Humphrey is tried first. Michael Humphrey's guilty verdict means he now faces a possible sentence of life in prison without parole. But in an effort to reduce that sentence, Humphrey's legal team contacts the Attorney General's office. The state offers Michael Humphrey a deal, a lesser second-degree murder charge with the possibility of parole in exchange for his testimony against Lindley Renick, and Humphrey agrees. On the stand, Ashley Shaw also admits to helping Lindley Renick on the day of her husband's death, when Lindley returned to the spa after being gone for several hours.
She runs in the spa, says, "Follow me to the bath." She took off her clothes and she got on the Vichy shower and she asked me to scrub her body and her hands really well, and she washed her whole body.
The aftercare when she came back from the murder, as far as washing her hands and her body, is why Lindley's gunshot residue kits came back negative for gunshot residue.
But Lindley Renick firmly denies having anything to do with her husband's murder, and denies Ashley Shaw's claim that she attempted to poison Ben Renick before he was killed. According to Renick, the only thing she was guilty of was wanting a divorce and being too afraid to confront her husband to ask for one.
Lindley told Ashley Shaw that Ben was abusive towards her, and that's the whole reasoning why she had asked Michael to accompany her to the Renick farm to ask for a divorce from Ben. She said she was scared on what he might do to her, and she wanted Michael as backup.
Lindley showed up at my driveway. She had a girl named Ashley with her.
Can you tell us what kind of transpired?
She said that there was different physical abuse going on from Ben, and they wanted to try to find somebody to shoot him. I told him I was not going to be a part of that.
Michael Humphrey admits that his involvement did not end there. But what he describes next completely contradicts Lindley Renick's story.
I went up to the spa about 2 or 3 days later, yeah. I actually took her my gun.
Why did you want to take that gun to her automatically?
I thought she could use it in a case of like self-defense, because she said that she couldn't leave there. So.
Does the gun have ammo with it?
It does. It's loaded.
Humphrey has admitted to giving Lindley Renick what became the murder weapon. But what he says next about when he and Lindley arrive at the snake facility is even more shocking.
We got out, and she walks up to me, and I feel something in my hip. I end up turning around and looking at it. It's the gun that I'd given her. I shoved it back at her and asked her basically what the hell she was doing. Ben came out the door, and then I heard a shot come out. I kind of ducked a little bit. I looked down through there, and she was at the end of the corridor, posed up like this with the gun.
The jury's heard two versions of what happened to Ben Renick on June 8th of 2017. And while up to now it's he said, she said, Lindley Renick now must face the intense cross-examination by the prosecution, where every detail of what she said will be challenged and examined.
Who had $1 million life insurance policy on their head?
Ben?
Okay. And who was the sole beneficiary of that life insurance policy should he be killed on June 8th of 2017?
I believe me.
Essentia Spa was really just bleeding money. Lindley was behind on a lot of payments to the bank, a heating and cooling company. She had owed them thousands of dollars. There was a lot of bills that she was behind on, and even some bills that Ben wasn't even aware of.
Ben was focusing on his snakes. He allowed Lindley to manage the spa herself. It didn't go all that well. She did this for money.
Okay, this is verdict. As to count one, we, the jury, find the defendant, Lindley Renick, guilty of murder in the second degree. And verdict as to count two, we, the jury, find the defendant, Lindley Renick, guilty of armed criminal action.